Hey everyone, how are you all doing? Okay, so before we get into this video, everything I say is my opinion, mine alone. Please feel free to do your own research and come to your own conclusions. With that being said, let's get into today's video, shall we? Okay, so before I even get into that, I probably won't be on screen until next week, maybe, depending on how my face is looking. Currently, it looks like I've been beat with a baseball bat. I'm going to attempt to get some antibiotics on Monday, and I got a dentist appointment on Friday. So fingers crossed, not too long, and it will all be fixed. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Dan and Nikki Felipe. I'm not sure how you spell their names. I'm not apologizing. They don't deserve any of it. Sorry, not sorry. So Nikki and Dan had two very gorgeous dogs. Bowser and Bowser, who is the Bull Terrier, and Zoe, who is the Yorkshire Terrier. Recently, they came online saying that they'd had to put Bowser to sleep because he had bitten the baby, who turned one in March, I believe. With that being said, they seem to have their own ways of sort of how they want you to believe they play with the dog compared to how they actually play with the dog. So I'm going to show you two clips in a moment of how they do and they don't, how they should and how they shouldn't play with their dogs. Here it is. Here's a photo shoot. Sorry, this is a photo shoot showing Bowser before he was put to sleep. They thought it was a good idea to take all these photos with the dog smiling and happy, and they generally saying their goodbyes. Even to the point you will see that they have the baby next to the dog, and considering the dog was supposed to have nipped the baby doesn't look like he's terrified one bit. That is so bad. So this is how they want you to think they play with their dogs, in my opinion. Go fetch Bowser. Good boy. He is was such a beautiful dog. Poor baby. And this is how they actually played with the dogs. And they questioned why Bowser had a little bit of a temperament about him. A little bit of an aggressive side. And then there's this. I am sorry, but no. Okay, so that is how they want you to believe they play with their dogs compared to how they do play with their dogs. I am absolutely disgusted by this pair. But then you can bear in mind that these pair don't really have much commitment to anything. They kind of self-indulged or whatever the word. If it doesn't work for me, then it's not going to work for me. I'm not going to do it. As you will see in a moment, they're going to be talking about they were planning to adopt from Thailand. Their reasons for not adopting from Thailand, I'm going to let them explain to you. It is quite the story.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it because that's what the title already says. We are not adopting from Thailand. Sorry. Yeah.
Really? Well, it's really difficult to say you have a valid reason for not adopting from Thailand, but it's not. You can't. It's...
So, okay,
First road bump in the adoption process.
Or first big road bump.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I guess it is the first road bump because everything else we've dealt with hasn't really necessarily been a road bump. It's just been like, it's difficult. There's a lot to this process. So the other day on Instagram, I posted that I was really bummed about something going on with the adoption.
Get on with it. I'm going to fast forward this a little bit. Sorry, guys. We don't need to drag through every single tiny bit. Okay, let's see where we are now.
Explain why I just spit all over myself. So, here's the situation. Recently, about 2 weeks ago, so the organization that we're adopting through is called Whole International, and they started following Dan and I on Instagram, and they actually messaged us on Instagram and were like, hey, we're coming to Nashville, we'd like to meet up with you, to just talk, like the Instagram team. I think I just hit you in the face, sorry. So I'm like, cool, this is all really exciting. I tend to be like a big...
Geez, she really likes the sound of her own voice, doesn't she? Wow.
Dreamer anyways, and it's like I have this dream for like adoption advocacy, and I'm like, we're hooking up with our agency, like it's so exciting. Well, then the next day I get an email.
Adoption advocacy. You're no more of an advocate than Katie Joy.
From someone else within Whole, and they're like, hey Nikki, we saw that you connected with the social media team, which is great, that's amazing. We just wanted to make sure you're aware of our social media policy. And I'm like, what social media policy? And I had no idea. I mean, to be honest, the way that I was going into this thing was kind of like my own version of common sense, which I say my own version.
Blah, 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 blah. Get to the point.
I know some people have expressed in the comments, like, are you nervous that all of this sharing is going to mess with your adoption? So I have a different filter of, like, common sense, but...
All of the sharing has the change that we're making now, we would have had to make this change much later in the process if they hadn't started following us from us sharing.
Oh,
this
yeah, it's like, this is a good thing, what we're telling you ultimately.
So we would have been in a lot deeper than
this change, yeah.
And on and on and on they go.
Change. So, okay, so they say, she sends me over a sheet, right? And I open up this sheet of all the policies and I'm reading it and I was like kind of confused. And so I sent her back an email. I'm like, is this basically just saying like not to share any information about our future child until they're officially ours? Because I didn't say this, but I'm like, that's what I deemed like common sense. Like when we get matched with a kid and we have the picture and the information.
You have some idea of what common sense is? From what I've seen on your YouTube channel, no, you do not. Not even an inch.
I wasn't planning on sharing that just because who knows, that kid may end up not being our kid and then they could be with someone else and we didn't want to like violate someone's privacy that isn't like our kid. That sounds weird, but you know what I'm saying. So I asked her that and she was like, well, yes, but also Thailand has its own law that's unique to it that
So, Thailand has a law that you cannot share the child on internet, social media, talk about them, pictures or anything for a year. They did not like this. They did not like this at all.
after you pick up your child and they're your child, you are not allowed to talk about them or share any images, photos, videos, anything about them online for a year.
Yeah, and that,
So,
I mean, Nikki's got a YouTube channel. We share a whole lot.
wait, hold on. When that hit, we literally were like,
yeah,
what? Like, we literally were like,
They were literally like, oh my God, I could not post on social media for one day in my life. Oh my god, how will I survive? Oh my god, they're cutting off my oxygen. Oh no. There.
Hey, what? So we're like going around the house. We're like trying to figure out how this could work. Like hashtag baby blur face. Like, what are we gonna do? Dan's like, maybe we could deal with that for a year.
How about not overly sharing your children or child, adopted or your own? Give your child some sort of privacy.
We're talking about it and we're like, all right, let's pray about it. Let's sleep on it, and then let's see how we feel.
Well,
in the
it's
morning.
not just a rule that Thailand had. Sorry, it's not just a rule that Thailand has, like, oh, you can't share anything or talk about your kid for a year. It's that the adoption is not finalized until a year later.
Yeah.
So, the kid's going to be living at our house for a year, and it's...
Oh, so they have a good policy as to say, well, you can try this for a year, and if it doesn't work out, then we can try another family. Better than what the staffers dealt with, I suppose.
That whole time, not our kid. So,
Yeah.
not okay with that either.
Yeah, so we slept on it. I told a couple of people in my life, like a couple close friends, my assistant Melissa, because she's like super logical, and she responded being like, dude, like what if there's an accident or something? And Holt actually said to us, like, you need to take this policy really seriously because you could mess up Holt's relationship with Thailand, and you could mess up future adoptions for families that are waiting in line in process with Thailand. And so I'm like, oh.
No, she's more concerned that she can't share them on social media and make money out of the child.
Oh my gosh, I almost Snapchatted while I was signing an NDA once. Like, I'm like, I'm gonna totally mess up, and then I'll ruin it for other families.
So
You almost Snapchatted while signing an NDA. Okay, I'm a little confused about that. Why?
there's so many reasons why.
So many. Well, and I called my family the next day, and both my parents separately, when I called them, were like, this is not what you are about. Like, you've been sharing your life for 7.5 years. It should be your decision what you want to share and not want to share. And
Actually got videos dating back 10 years. Just something I noticed.
they were like, this just doesn't.
And we want to share everything.
Well, that's not even necessarily true. We just want the right to be like, I mean, we don't know. Like, when our kid comes home, they might be dealing with a lot of trauma, and we might be like, just kidding, we're not going to be showing our kid very much for a while because we're dealing with all this stuff. Or we might be like, wow, this was such a crazy smooth transition, so much cute stuff is happening, we want to share left, right, and center. We just want the ability to do what we want to do without possibly causing harm or repercussions to other people and an entire organization for that matter. So, yeah, so we pulled out of the Thailand program, and wait, I want to finish that. Even, like, the country director with Holt actually spoke to the Thai government and was like, can you make an exception for them because, like, their whole lives are online?
Can you make an exception for them? No.
In a really, like, basically it's their business in, like, a public way, and they were like, nope.
So with that being said, that was the reason they couldn't adopt from Thailand. Because of all the reasons she gave. Not being able to show the child on social media for a year. I think that's a pretty good thing after what happened with Micah and James Staffer. But that's just my opinion. Then we have other issues around this family. And them being responsible. After all this happened, Dan, the husband, decided to post this lovely image on his Instagram, I believe. All accounts are currently blocked down. Not surprising. There are a lot of people who would probably be out for blood if they could get a chance. But again, just my opinion. A lot of people have spoken up on this, including Jeffree Star, Jacqueline Hill, and many, many more big YouTubers have spoken about this issue. And this poor dog, it's wrong. Do you know what? This is just my opinion, right? But they've had both of these dogs now for around 8 years, according to the YouTube channel. They had Zoe first, and then they had Bowser. Once the baby came along, the dogs were no longer the main babies. They got pushed down in the pecking order. And this is where we are now. With that being said, are they really the most responsible of parents either? With these being images that I took from the YouTube channel in a video, A Week in My Life as a Mom, you can see that Dan and Bowser and the baby are standing in front of the fire. Dan then goes on to sit the baby down and walks away while the baby is sitting in front of a burning fire. I don't know. It's like they just don't think. How could they be responsible for an animal or a child when they can take the baby in front of the fire, sit him down right in front of it, where he could quite easily get burnt? And again, same. The baby had turned 1, that was a month ago. And honestly, I find this family disgusting. And that is everything that I have for you. This poor dog, they could have found another home. He looks gorgeous. He looks like maybe he needed a little bit of training because he had anxiety after being attacked as a pup. Maybe he had some food anxiety. When a dog's got food anxiety, it's not a good idea to stick your hand down in front of the dog, which Dan has been known to do. But this poor dog. And what happens when the Yorkshire Terrier turns on a baby? Yorkshire Terriers are gorgeous dogs. I love Yorkshire Terriers. But they're not always the greatest with young children. They don't like to be pulled and tugged and things. And they like to be left alone at times. So in 6 months' time, are we going to see the same thing happening to the Yorkshire Terrier? And then you look at these two pictures where they're saying goodbye. And Bowser is like, hey, let's play. Kind of look on his face. Maybe, just maybe, they might realise what they've done and start taking responsibility for their actions from now on. But who knows? And with that, I am going to go and say goodnight to you all. It's late here. I need to get some sleep. My face hurts like crazy. And I shall see you in the next video. So please do the YouTube, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. It would all be appreciated. Thank you very much.